Welcome to another episode of the Fill Your Soul podcast. I'm your host, Bree Brown, along with Amanda K. Gillen, and we're here to talk to you about all things foot zoning. Let's jump into our next episode. All right, Amanda K., I got another question for you. This question is, how do I find the right foot zoner for me? And what are some tips and tricks to make sure that it's the right foot zoner? Because there's so many different people out there and you need to make sure that you click well. So do you have any tips and tricks for that one?
Ooh, that is such a great question. I truly believe that there is a foot zoner for everyone.
I agree.
I want to say that first and foremost. There is a foot zoner for everyone. And how do you find the right one? Well, by referral. Referral would be a great one. Ask around, talk to your friends and your family, and get to know them. And ask questions. What do you love about your foot zoner?
Yeah.
What does he or she provide that really speaks to you? Do they really work on like the physical? Like, I've got this pain. Can they really help me?
Yeah.
I would say referrals is huge.
I agree.
Then the next one I would say for me would be to do your research.
Yeah. Look into who they are, not every foot zoner is going to have a social media, but a social media is a great tool to find out who they are and kind of their vibe and their values. And I think that's one of my favorite ways.
Right. Do your research. I tend to, I know through, not just one photo, right? Like through several photos, it's like, oh my gosh, like they're going to get me. Like they jive with me. Like they're pretty hippy dippy bohemian vibe. Like I feel that, right?
We have the same vibe here.
Yeah. Yeah. Just much like when I found Bree, to be the instructor, we just clicked. And as you start talking, And so for me, I would say the referral and then to do your research, I would say are two of the biggest things for me. That's what I would look like. And then also know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
What are you wanting out of a zone?
Do you as a client want someone who's going to be chatty? Do you want someone who's going to let you just sit back and relax? Because I have found that every foot zoner, a well-trained foot zoner should be proficient in a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual foot zone. They should be able to access each of those. Now, depending on their preferences and their gifts and their abilities, they may lean towards one or the other. I always tell people, I am in a family of foot zoners and we all zone very differently. My mom, she is the emotional guru. She is emotions, all about emotions, and very spiritual as well. My dad is very physical. Like he can dissect a signal like no one else can. And also very good at emotional and spiritual. Like he can do those things as well. I tend to gravitate more towards the mental because I love the neurolinguistics. I love the subconscious mind. I love processing and talking through all these different things. That being said, I can still do the other ones as well, and so and Mandee, what would yours be? I would put you as spiritual, but I don't want to label you. I'm just curious what yours would tend to be.
I believe spiritual and emotional, like trauma, like that, the emotional trauma base, but it also is that spirituality. It is. It's definitely true.
You're very good at recognizing the spirits, the energy, the vibration. That being said, you also give a fantastic physical foot zone, and so don't be deterred if it's like, oh, they're more hippy dippy than I am, or they're way too nutritional based than me, they focus on the nutrition and all that stuff. And it's like, that's okay. Allow them to kind of have their own passions, but can they help you? Can they help you with what you need? And, the other thing we were talking about this is, do they have a speciality? I specialize in fertility and children foot zones because I love those things and they're things that I'm passionate about. So I tend to get a lot of referrals from moms because I can work on kids very easily. Or I get referrals for pregnancy and infertility. And so that's going to be something that I know is the people who come to me tend to be the people who I can help, right? And I think we should be able to
Right.
trust that to some degree as practitioners as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because like you said, I definitely feel like I am in that spiritual area.
Hmm.
And but I do specialize in trauma. I
You
do.
do.
And I
You
do
do.
I do get a lot of that trauma, the emotions, those types of things. And
And you're
and
trained in the subconscious as well. Like we took that together,
yes,
like
we did.
you are
We did.
just as qualified for that. And
Yeah.
so it's a
It
wide variety.
definitely, definitely. But I do believe there's, again, a foot zoner for everyone.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, if you have gone and you have received a foot zone, and maybe the energies just didn't match,
Hmm.
or maybe it was not quite what you were wanting, or maybe it was exactly what you were wanting, but you're feeling you want to dip your toes over here in a little water over here. I'm not trying to take anyone away from any zoner. That's
Yeah.
not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is if you feel that you may need to go look for another zoner, then that's okay.
That's okay.
Like,
It's not
it's
offensive.
okay.
Hmm.
No, no, just like I just want to say, like, when you find your hairdresser,
Yeah.
you find your hairdresser.
Yeah.
When you find your masseuse or your massage therapist, you're like, okay, this is my person.
Hmm.
When you know, you know.
Yep.
And like Bree said, if they are a well-rounded zoner and they should know the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies. So
Yeah.
again, when you know, you know. And just because I'm in that spirituality realm, right? Like it doesn't mean that I don't know or can't find those physical blockages.
Absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with having multiple foot zoners. Like
Absolutely.
going to you for one thing, me to another thing, another foot zoner for another thing. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Like I said, I am from a family of foot zoners, and I have my best friend Erica that I trade with foot zones, and she's my zoner. But I also have other students that all let zone me too, because maybe they can give me something that I need. And so there's no wrong when it comes to finding the right one, as long as you're just being open minded and looking for someone who fits your needs. That'd be my
Yeah,
advice on that.
absolutely. I think you're 100% on that.
I
Yes.
love it. Hey guys, thank you so much.